Alright, so since it's too cold to actually start gardening and I need to find a way to utilize all of my extra clay water and things from my studio, I'm trying to kind of mix the two of my ceramics and gardening passions into this little project here. So what I'm doing is converting these buckets into basically like a water barrel, but I'm going to have the spout be kind of high so that any sediment of my clay and everything can be below this level, and I can use the water to help water trees and things like that in our yard, while making sure that the sediment is staying out of it and that I can clean that out as the water is used up. So I ended up just going with some buckets that kind of match some of the gravel we have around the yard so that they kind of fit back in, but I don't think it matters which ones you use as long as they'll last outside. And then basically, I guess here I have just found some like water barrel or rain barrel spouts. I already kind of put them together, used some of this kind of sealant tape just to make sure that it's all ready to go. And I'm just going to use a little circular bit, I don't really know what these are called, and then our little guide here to put the hole into the barrel. So I'm going to start by just creating a little guideline. Put that there. Go up a few inches, like I said, just to make sure that the sediment of the clay and anything is not going to be an issue. Okay. And now that I kind of have a guide hole of roughly the height that I think it's going to need to be, I'm just going to get this guy in there. And I haven't actually done this before, so I'm going to try my best to keep it as straight as possible since this is a pretty curved surface. I'm going to keep it as accurate to what I need as possible. So line up that hole. Looks pretty good. So now that we have that cut out there, let's see if I have the right size bit. This doesn't matter yet, so we can kind of throw that in. Actually, it's just a little small, which is perfect because I should be able to twist that in. So let's see here. Basically, we have this little outer ring to hold it into the bucket. I just kept this lid on to make sure lose any integrity. Alright, so make sure the gasket's on the outside. Yeah, I think I can just work it in there. Get it to where I want it, and then easy enough, just screw that on in there. And it is a little backwards. Get it nice and tight to make sure that gasket gets as much seal as possible. We'll see as I do the first couple dumps into these buckets if I need to secure with silicone or not. But so far it looks like it's flexible enough to be able to handle that. So then I will find a place that I need to put it to water some trees and kind of keep it out of sight. And I will start using this to reuse all of my dirty clay water. Alright, so this is now, we have the bucket made. I had this just drilled in basically, so I have a nice water barrel spout, and I'm just going to add my bucket of dirty clay water into this. This is lifted up so high so that the sediment can settle at the bottom, and then when I drain it out, I'm using only mostly clean water, and then the bottom I can then scoop out, dry out, and throw away. So, I guess with further ado, making sure this is perpendicular to the spout so that it's sealed. Everything looks good. I just have it lifted off the ground just in case that's more helpful. And here we go. So my nice dirty clay water. Try to get that sediment out of there too, as much as I can. All right, so as you can see, the water is definitely very thick with sediment. So once I let that rest for a couple days, I'll come back out, see how clear the water is on top, and then water the tree that goes downhill from this bucket. All right, so it's been about 3 days. Let's see how much the clay has settled down to the bottom of the bucket. All right, yes, there's quite a bit of sediment still throughout. There's a tiny bit on the top that looks fairly clear, but definitely have to wait till at least the end of the week before I can let this water go into our yard. All right, so it has been quite a while since I actually checked on these guys. They got moved a couple times and then had to resettle again. So here, as you can see, I'm starting to drain out that first bucket. The water wasn't perfectly clear. It definitely had the clay sediment layered on the bottom, but the water definitely has some amount of maybe glaze and base materials kind of staying in it. So clear enough to clear out, but not exactly as clear as I would hope. So as you can see on the second one here, so see how murky that actually is. The camera doesn't show it as much, but it is see-through down to the bottom. Just a little bit more murky than wanted. So this is going to go downhill, water a couple trees, and at least use up some of the extra water from my studio. As these start to finish up, draining out that extra cleaner water, you can see we are past the point of where it will drain out. So I'm just going to tip it so that still fairly clean water is going to fully go out there. You can really see the amount of sediment at the bottom. So here we are, just kind of draining. Any last cleanup. But just to show. So yeah, see, we're mixing it up a little bit. We don't want to do too much of that. We have about, like, up to the first knuckle worth of clay down there. So once I get all the decent water out, which we're pretty much there now that it's mixed up, I'm going to get a trash bag and basically pour any of that sediment into a trash bag so it's not going into the soil and making it absorb water poorly. So from there, make sure that everything's wiped out and then start again.